Does the perfect e-commerce business exist? And if so, where are these things? Where do you buy them from? I know what it's like hunting the right business to buy. Typically, every business you look at is either just overpriced, it's a scam, or it's just plain junk. For example, it's just like falling off a cliff, or it's just got so many complexities and it's not what it's worth or what they're saying it's worth. I know this after teaching thousands of people to acquire businesses for over a decade now. I've found the best places to legitimately buy e-commerce businesses that are actually worth investing in. E-commerce businesses that are making great money. But before we go into where these places are, let's talk about why e-commerce businesses are one of the best assets you can own. Now, unlike traditional businesses, they have lower overhead. You don't need to have a storefront. You don't need to have in-person staff with excessive wages, superannuations and medical and licenses and all those sorts of things. It can be quite costly having a traditional business with multiple overheads. When you have an online business, they run 24/7 and you can scale them faster since you can target a larger audience than a location dependent business. Plus, with the right strategy, you can buy one that's already making money from day one instead of just grinding it out for years thinking about building one from scratch. So I hope you land on this page because you understand, I want to buy something that's already a profitable asset. I want to do what the wealthy do, is buy assets versus just building them. It's the cheat code. The wealthy buy these great assets that are producing a return and they're putting their money to work for them versus them working for their money. So with that cleared out of the way, let's break down where you can actually find these businesses. Now, there's 4 main places you should be looking at. Number 1, Empire Flippers. EmpireFlippers.com. There'll be links to all of these in the show notes. Empire Flippers are one of the most trusted platforms for buying vetted e-commerce businesses. There's 2 ones that I typically go to first and foremost is Empire Flippers. Firstly, I'll tell you about the second one in a second. Now, Empire Flippers, they do have a bunch of other different businesses you can buy as well. You can buy Facebook groups, you can buy YouTube channels, you can buy software businesses, you can buy Amazon Kindle businesses, you can buy membership businesses. They've got a bunch of different online businesses you can buy. A big portion of the business they do sell are e-commerce businesses. Just sell any old business. If they have, a handful of businesses that are bad sales or bad deals, or the seller is misreporting things to them, then their reputation is going to go backwards and nobody's going to buy from them. So they pre-vet these deals and try and make sure that the information that the sellers are providing are accurate. And this goes for all of these brokers as well. So that's empireflippers.com. You will need to sign up and get a free account, and you will need to provide proof of finances to show that you're not a tire kicker and that you have funds and you want to purchase a business from them. They also have the option of being able to, put funds in their one of their holding accounts, a trust account, and using that as a deposit to take a business off market faster if you're looking at buying it. So they do have that option, and sometimes these options fluctuate as if this video is a little bit older or if it's really new. Sometimes these options are either outdated or they have better options moving forwards. So yeah, check out empireflippers.com. I've had both the founders on the podcast. I've had their marketing team and a bunch of different people that have worked with Empire Flippers on my podcast. I've also been on their podcast multiple times, and they're just a trusted source to buy e-commerce businesses from. So check them out. There's a link in the description of the video. Now, Quiet Light brokerage, so quietlight.com. They're great businesses for beginners as well, and they're selling e-commerce businesses anywhere from the $50,000 to $100,000 range up to the 10, 20 mil range sometimes. Now with Empire Flippers, they do sell smaller businesses. Typically they can be from 30K to 100K and then upwards as well to the 20 to $30 million range as well. Now, I do find a lot of these e-commerce businesses for sale on Empire Flippers and quietlight.com. They are Amazon FBA businesses. Now, what I like about Quiet Light compared to Empire Flippers is Quiet Light actually do have in their listings, typically I would see most of their listings will either say they'll be SBA approved, meaning they're the SBA 7A loan, get backed by the US government, will, this business approved that they will lend to a buyer who's wanting to purchase that business using finance through SBA, which is very, very valuable for somebody that is using SBA financing to acquire business. Obviously, you're going to go and find if you can get financing first before you buy business, so you know what your buy box is and your acquisition strategy. So you're looking at the right price range. But once you know what your price range is, you can go to Quiet Light and you can see a bunch of the businesses that are approved for SBA if you're buying with an SBA loan, which is a really cool feature and a really cool thing that Quiet Light do. These two are pretty, Empire Flippers and Quiet Light are pretty premium brokers in the online marketplace. Then you also have website closers. Website closers, they are typically, selling for businesses mid 6 figures to, mid 8 figures, more higher end deals. These deals, I don't know a lot of people that have bought from website closers, but I've seen a bunch of great deals on there, and I've done due diligence on a bunch of great deals from website closers, and they're definitely got a fair few solid businesses for sale. I'm not sure what their lead time is. I have a sense that Quiet Light and Empire Flippers really do sell businesses a fair bit faster. And they, these brokers, when they're coming to an agreement with the seller to sell their business, normally they have exclusivity agreements, and it can be a couple of months to be exclusive and sell with one seller. I'm not sure what they are with website closers, but there's some great deals on there. We've also got website properties. Okay, websiteproperties.com. They're great for serious buyers looking for sustainable businesses as well. And, all of these businesses have great e-commerce businesses. Website properties, again, they're in the price range of, 6-figure to multi-million-dollar range. If you're wanting to buy an e-commerce business cheaper than, say, the $100,000 range, which you can, I've helped somebody buy a great $50,000 e-commerce business for $50,000. You can find them in, sometimes you can find them on Quiet Light, and sometimes you can find them on Empire Flippers, but there's other places as well that you can go, like flipper.com. Flipper.com do have e-commerce businesses for sale. Typically, the better e-commerce businesses to save yourself time are the ones that are going to be listed by actual brokers that pre-vet the deal, that know how to provide good information, that are businesses that you normally going to need to sign a non-disclosure agreement to see the information, the data first, versus, the smaller end businesses that aren't listed by brokers, that are self-listed, typically people, trying to save money in their business on the acquisition and, sell it for less. Sell it for as much as they can and not have to pay a brokerage fee. And what I find is when somebody's trying to save money in their business or acquisitions, it's typically not the best way to operate or grow a business, because if you want a premium business, you should be hiring premium. Same with in your life. If you want a premium life, you should be consuming premium food and content and doing premium things. So it's a bit of a mindset change, but there are smaller businesses out there, e-commerce businesses out there on flipper.com. That you can purchase. Where else can you find these e-commerce businesses? Well, you can join Facebook groups, Reddit communities, e-commerce forums where the sellers list their businesses themselves. Again, like I said, anything that's self-listed and in a smaller range, you do need to be wary of, and you need to really know how to do your due diligence. If you haven't got my due diligence framework, get it, buyingonlinebusiness.com/free resources. It takes the guesswork out of buying businesses. It's super valuable to have that, right? Another place you can find great e-commerce businesses, networking with other entrepreneurs in the industry. You can go to masterminds, you can go to events, you can go to seminars, all these different things. But when you're going to these events, try and go to the right events with the right type of entrepreneurs. If you're trying to buy an e-commerce business, go to an e-commerce event where people are growing their businesses. And maybe you want to buy a business in the 7-figure range. Don't go to a free event, go to a paid event that where people actually have decent businesses that they're willing to invest in. And I'm not saying smaller businesses aren't decent. Sorry, I shouldn't say it that way. But being general, a larger business, they're going to be spending more investment dollars on growing the business, and they're probably going to be going to paid events versus free events. Okay. Another way you can find great e-commerce businesses is direct outreach approach. Now, the direct outreach approach isn't the easiest way to go. It means finding stores and online businesses that you're actually looking for. Say, for example, if you're wanting to find an e-commerce brand that's selling surfing gear or fishing gear, you can go away and get a list and then reach out to a bunch of those. They are harder to do. You can hire people that can do outreach for you, that can do this as well. You can also, use LinkedIn, email them, cold call, letters, things like that. I've had somebody in my podcast before by, hosting software companies and just small little ones, starting at $10,000, working our way up to like 6 figures. And he would go around the certain neighborhood and do a letterbox drop and wanting to acquire those types of businesses. So you could do that. For ecom, obviously, you want an online business, you don't want a traditional business, so you're probably not going to be doing cold, but it's an option for, if you wanted to get a business that is a manufacturer and then you know how to sell online, you can do that as a great value add to a business. So word of warning, now just because a business is listed for sale on these platforms, it does not mean it is worth buying. Okay, so there's a few red flags that I want to sort of highlight for you. Firstly, the financials. You want to make sure you verify the financials. Like I said before, some of these brokers do pre-vet these, but again, who are these brokers working for? They're working for the seller. They want to sell the business, so they're on their side, right? So as good as the books look, is that's what they want, right? So they can make more money. You on your side, you need to be representing yourself and or have somebody like myself represent you. And make sure you verify these things, these red flags I'm going to go through. Number one, financials. Ask for tax returns. Get viewers access to their Shopify account, get viewers access to their Amazon account, get Amazon statements, get Google Analytics access, which is really critical. So it's the second big thing you need to be verifying is traffic sources. Getting Google Analytics access, Shopify access to look at where the traffic comes from. If it's coming from ads like Meta or Google, make sure you're getting access to seeing how much traffic is coming from those traffic sources and what's the actual sort of, the spend on these ad accounts and what's the ROI. The cost per acquisition for their ads as well. So that's really important. The third big one is checking supplier relationships. Okay. If the business relies on one supplier, this can be a big red flag, but also if it's easy to find another supplier and have them as a backup, then you can remove that red flag because you can transition to another supplier. Also understanding like how long do they have an agreement, a contract with a supplier, and when does that agreement end? And would they be likely to renew that agreement? And if so, why? So understanding those relationships and the interest in those relationships is very, very critical. The fourth one is, inflated valuations. You absolutely need to avoid inflated valuations. If a business is making over $100,000 a year and the seller's asking $1 million for the business, walk away from the business, right? Typically, we're seeing businesses earning a 20 to 35% return on investment, right? E-commerce brands. Now, it can be lower, it can be higher. And typically, the less money it's making means like typically the better the business is, the less risk it has. However, you need to be able to verify that as well. And how you can start to verify that is be in the market and look at those businesses in the price range that you're acquiring in and start to understand how much what their value is and what they're worth. If you don't have time to do this, then having somebody represent you that knows the value of these businesses in that price range, like myself or somebody else, that's a very, very valuable thing to have. Another one is stock. The fifth one is stock. There's a big red flag is check the stock levels and check it's all relevant. Maybe they've got inventory, and maybe they've got $100,000 worth of inventory and they've got, let's say they've got 2,000 SKUs, and maybe there's only 10 of those SKUs that are like popular products, and the rest of the stock is stuff that they're not selling. Now, you don't always want to buy that stock when you can't push it and you've got a system that's not selling it, right? Which is the business. So there's pointless buying that stock. So maybe work out how can you purchase just the stock that you need that is selling and not purchase that old stock, or purchase it at a massive discount. Or if it's perishable goods, understand like when do they perish too. So doing stock due diligence is pretty critical. So make sure you've got those 5 big red flags understood. Now, once you've found a great business, how do you actually buy it and make sure you just don't completely stuff it up. First and foremost, you need to negotiate the right terms. Don't just accept the asking price, right? Use the business's weaknesses to your advantage in negotiations, okay? It's very, very critical. And also, when you're in negotiations, understand what the seller wants. And then if you can work out what they want, you can give it to them in the most creative way possible with, seller financing, earn out, seller notes, different types of deal structures. Secondly, you want to be using proper due diligence, right? Hire an expert like myself or experienced due diligence service if you're buying something over the $500,000 range, or at least if you're buying something under that and you're doing it yourself, understand how to do diligence. I've got educational programs that can help you do this. Buyingonlinebusiness.com, there's a bunch of stuff there, or you could just email us. So, and there's other, there are one or two other places you can learn this sort of stuff. Mostly it's free, but I'm being biased here. We do have a premium service, and we're highly valued in the marketplace for helping people, educate people to buy businesses. Secondly, is finance the business in the smartest way possible with using the least amount of your money and or the least amount of risk to you, right? So you can use a government-backed SBA loan, you can use seller financing, you can use seller notes, you can use earnouts, or you can use investors to minimize your upfront cost as well. Obviously, you need to run your figures on what you're financing, what you're earning out, the interest rates for those, the payback periods, and all that sort of stuff to see what you're going to be left with at the end of the day in terms of monthly profit. But yes, the third one is definitely finance it smartly. And the last one, number 4, is ensure you have a growth plan. Okay, so when you're looking at the business, you should be able to see what's working really well, what's not working so well, what they haven't yet done that they've tried. What they have tried, that didn't make sense at all, did that? What they have tried that worked, but they didn't continue doing it, or what you feel you have seen from other businesses you've looked at that have worked to grow a business similar to this one that you could employ into this business purchase. So make sure you have a growth plan when you take over the business. Obviously, don't just implement that straight away. Learn the business over a month or two, and then you will know exactly what you need to do to start scaling the business to get more sales channels working, or better marketing, upsells, downsells, all that sort of stuff. Now, when you're buying an e-commerce business, if you follow this strategy, what I mentioned in this video, you're going to be miles ahead of 99% of the buyers out there, right? There are a lot of people that just fluff around and do this and get taken advantage of because they don't know what they're doing. Like I said, you can do this yourself. You can check out the courses, the teachers and stuff like that. Or if you're looking at, buying a larger deal, 7 figures plus, just reach out to me. I'm happy to help you do that as well. Obviously, like I said before, if you haven't got my Due Diligence Framework, make sure you get it, buyingonlinebusiness.com/free resources. I hope you got a bunch of value from this video. If you did, please let me know what you liked about it most so I can create more great videos around this for you. See you in the next one.